Thank you, Mr. President. As you know, the Airwave contract states in it that it can be terminated once a year in October, and this is the meeting prior to October's meeting. I wanted to bring that up again and give the board an opportunity to vote on that contract again. There are a number of things that have concerned me throughout the years with the Airwaves contract. As you know, I'm going to start off by saying, I think we just paid them $94,000 today. And this is the fourth year, I believe, of the contract. So we're in the $740,000 a year range for this contract. And as we speak now, we also know that the contract is paid out of the E911 fund of the county, and that fund, because of this payment, not because we have a lack of landlines, but because of this payment, is scheduled to be at zero or broke by March of 2014. So there is a concern there about the county's financial ability to continue paying this. I also have a number of other concerns that I'd like to just point out to the board. First, the contract calls for maintaining the county's radio systems and manufacturer specs. What evidence is Airwaves providing that indicates this level of maintenance? This information has been asked for, I think, on a number of occasions by Mr. Calhoun. I know that I have not heard anything from Airwaves in years about what they're doing. No monthly reports, no summaries, nothing. So I really don't have any idea what they're doing for this money. Secondly, Airwaves has no formal relationship with the radio systems manufacturer. Airwaves and its technicians have not provided any evidence that they're certified by the radio system manufacturer to provide maintenance and repair services to the county radio system or the radios. I asked for that information in 2009 or 10. Still have not received that information. Airwaves has not provided detailed reports of services or work performed to maintain the radio system. Once again, going back to my first point of request made by Ms. Calhoun, and just the common everyday courtesies of sending people information on a regular basis about what they are doing. To my knowledge, we are the only account Airwaves has. So they aren't doing work for anybody else but us. And I just think we've reached a time now with this contract where we need to terminate the contract, turn it into EOC, and ask for their direction on either rebidding it or having EOC do the work, whatever they think is the best way to go. And so, Mr. President, I would make a motion that we terminate Airwaves contract effective 1 October, or effective at the end of October, I guess, whatever the contract calls for.
Okay, it's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. Discussion? What I'd like to do is to ask Mr. Hargrove to please come to the front. He's a representative of that particular company, and to give us comments as it relates to the issues that have been brought forth by the supervisor.
Good morning, Mr. President, rest of the board members. The issues that were brought up by Supervisor Fisher are issues that really have no bearing because the simple truth of the matter is we have provided all the information that he has requested. Certifications, contracts with the manufacturers, all the information has been provided to the county some years ago. So the idea that this information is not forthcoming, hasn't been provided, I don't think is an accurate statement.
And where is it? Who has it?
It's been provided to the county back in 2008.
Who in the county?
I think we gave it to the county attorney. She made
You
the
have that
request.
information, Chris?
There were some certifications that you requested, and they were provided to you. I'll have to go back in my files and determine
I need you to do
what
that.
exactly.
And I also need you to provide the monthly reports that he says he's been providing to us. For the reports he's been providing for us on the work, because I haven't received any of those.
I don't have monthly reports, but I do have certifications.
Okay? So we don't have any reports.
Well, I'm not going to say you have any reports. There have been some reports provided. As a matter of fact, I want to say that Mr. Stiles provided a report here to Supervisor Calhoun as recently as last week.
I believe last Thursday.
Yes, ma'am.
And I have not had a chance to review that information.
So is it
But it
Ms.
was-
Calhoun's responsibility to distribute to the board, or none of the rest of us get a chance to look at it?
Well,
No.
she was the one that made a specific request. Now that you've made a specific request, we'll be more than happy to provide information to you and other board members as well.
So we have to make a specific request to get information from you, is that correct?
If there's something specific you need, a request would help. Absolutely.
So, but you feel no obligation, it's $740,000 a year to provide us with a monthly report, a quarterly update, an occasional passing by, here's what's going on.
Now, we do have continuing communications with the users, the end users of the system. We have continuing communications with the Emergency Operations Center Director about the status of the system. So there are communications ongoing on a continuous basis about the status of the system and the work that's going on out there on a daily
It's
basis.
just not with the board of supervisors. Now I receive reports from numerous other people about what's going on every month, updates, things of that nature, and just never get anything from you.
I want to be clear. We're not opposed to providing this information to the board. I want to be absolutely clear on that. Now that you have expressed interest in getting this information, we'll be more than happy to provide this information for you.
Okay. Let me ask a question, then we'll go to Ms. Calhoun, and then we'll go to Mr. Stokes. This is a vital part of public safety. If you can't talk to anyone, no one can talk to you, then it's a public safety issue. What would happen if, for instance, today, if this contract was terminated, what would be our alternative as far as, I know you probably couldn't answer that, I'll ask the other supervisors, where would we go to? Because that means we would not have any one maintaining a radio system that has to be maintained on a daily basis. So in your estimation, what are we considering here?
Well, I think that one of the key issues to address your concerns is that this is the primary tool that your first responders, your public safety agencies use to provide assistance, emergency assistance, to the citizens of Hinds County and the municipalities therein. To take a counter attitude about this system as something that you can treat as a commodity like toilet paper, I think is being disingenuous. This is a very specialized system. It takes a unique skill set and capabilities to be able to maintain these types of systems. And at the end of the day, people's lives depend upon these systems. So we take this system with that kind of seriousness, and I think everybody else should as well.
Okay, well, the last thing, and then I'll go to Ms. Calhoun, then to Mr. Stokes, and then back to Mr. Fisher, is the fact that I was told that there is a plan that is being studied or looked at or in the works or being considered to where the City of Jackson or Hinds County can migrate to the P25 platform that will allow us to actually end a maintenance contract once we purchase a new radio system and become P25 compliant. Is that the case, or am I in the right ballpark as it relates to the purchase of that?
Yes,
Because
sir.
we're going to have a new radio system, period.
Yes, sir. That is correct. And that's one of our main focus points at this particular time because of the age of the system. The system right now, I want to say it was purchased in 98, 99 and went online in late 99, 2000. So we're looking at a 13-year-old system. And there are some critical pieces that are falling outside of the support window, and we're always receiving updates from the manufacturer on a continuous basis about other items that are coming to end of life support from a manufacturer's perspective. So as we start this discussion with the board almost 2 years ago, bringing up the concept of P25, what it means for Hinds County. The state is in the process of moving to a P25 network. The city is in the process of moving to a P25 network. That is the future of emergency communication. It provides a compatible platform that you can have interoperable communications across jurisdictional boundaries. And that's the focus that we have put on Hinds County system at this particular point, is moving it forward. We can sit up there all day and talk about the past. My point is we need to focus on the future. There are ways that we can leverage the funds that are being expended right now, today, into a brand new radio system without any additional cost to the county. So we don't have to have these continuous conversations about the amount of money that it costs to maintain a 13-year-old system. We'll be talking about the amount of money that we put into a brand new system for everybody.
Okay, Mrs. Calhoun.
Yes, I have had a number of concerns information that supposedly you provided me. As I said, I have not reviewed it, but initially when I requested information, which was over 2 years ago, I guess after requesting the information for about a year and a half, you did provide me with a binder of information, but that binder only consisted of serial numbers and information regarding the Byron's Fire Department. I looked at it and I said, oh, I guess they're having fun and laughing at me, thinking that I have accepted this as part of the information that I was requesting. What I was requesting was a daily log of the maintenance activities on the system as well as the radios. Another concern that I have currently, the city of Jackson says that you all do not repair their radios, that they send their radios, that Motorola repairs their radios. And not even yet there is a charge in your contract for repairing their radios. As a matter of fact, the city of Jackson indicated that there were certain flaws within the radios, and so what Motorola does is take their radios and repair those radios at no cost to the city of Jackson. But again, that cost is listed in the contract with Hines County to pay for Jackson's radios.
Okay.
And I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Who is the proprietor of Airwaves?
Stacy Stowers.
Where is Mr. Stowers?
He's in the audience right there.
Mr. Stowers. Okay. And your company is
North Star Wireless.
North Star Wireless.
Mm-hmm.
But each time we request the proprietor to come before the board, you represent the proprietor. Why is that?
Because we're responsible for the day-to-day maintenance operations. So when we start talking about things like daily activities and things of that nature, you know, it's our organization that takes care of the day-to-day operations.
So you work for Airways. You work for Mr. Stowers.
It's very similar to the business model that the previous vendor had, where they have maintenance agreements and they subcontract a portion of that work out to other organizations. So it's very similar to what you had in place with Motorola. The structure.
Okay, Mr. Stokes.
Thank you. I had a conversation with you concerning the contract. Same man that's on the agenda. Because we brought to my attention that this is the time, this will have to be the meeting. If we're going to change, it has to be now because we're not having a copy of the contract, and I think we're going to read it, that it has to be done before October 1. And I think you told me that that is not how the contract truly read. Could you explain that, please?
Yes, sir, I can. That's not accurate, and the board attorney can speak to this as well. The contract is for a fixed term. It's a fixed term contract. It was for 5 years, and when the contract was initiated, it was initiated for that specific term so that the county could realize some substantial cost savings over what they had been paying the previous vendor. So what happens on an annual basis is there is an escalator in there for inflation, and whenever the money changes, then the money change has to be brought before the board. But no, the contract does not come up for renewal on an annual basis. It's a fixed term contract.
Now, my final question is, and I have someone going to come up and speak concerning AT&T. What we're paying AT&T millions, and brother, y'all did selling almost $3 million. What we're paying AT&T millions of dollars for. Could your company do that, and could other companies do that also?
One of the things I think that the board should be aware of, and one of the kind of myths and misnomers that's been going on is that AT&T is the only company that can provide 911 solutions, and that's simply not true. Just on the state contract alone, there are probably 6 or 7 vendors representing another 6 or 7 manufacturers that the state has pre-negotiated contract prices with to provide E911 equipment. So the county has options. You know, if we're going to have a discussion about saving money in the 911 fund, let's have that conversation. There are many vendors that are being paid from the 911 fund. Airwave is not the only vendor that's being paid by the 911 fund. That fund was set up specifically to provide emergency communications for the county and the other vendors. There was one vendor in particular that was in the middle of litigation with the county, and they were still getting paid every year, even though the county was suing them. They were still getting paid. We're out there working every day, diligently, maintaining the system, making sure that the end users, the police department, the sheriff department, the fire folks out there, even the emergency medical people from AMR are on the radio system. So it is really, really frustrating for us, to be frank with you, that all the hard work that our people do out there every day in support of the system, it goes unappreciated, or appears to be unappreciated.
Okay. Mr. Stokes, if you don't have anything else, we'll go to Mr. Fisher. Mr. Fisher. Okay.
Let's clear a few things up here. First, you haven't answered any of the questions. You've done a good job of dancing around and talking about the future and all that. You haven't answered the questions about any other clients that you may have. You haven't answered the questions concerning your relationship with Motorola. If you don't have a formal relationship, then you do not. Of course, you've admitted that you haven't bothered to send us any detailed work or any details of the work that you do on a regular basis to anyone. I've already talked about the E911 fund. So let me read, before I read it, let me focus again on this termination clause. You say that we can't do it.
No, what I said, it's a fixed term contract. It was fixed, and there's a board resolution to that effect.
General terms, section 14.6, this agreement will renew for an additional 1-year term on each anniversary of the start date unless either the cover page specifically states a termination date or one party notifies the other in writing of its intention to discontinue the agreement, not less than 30 days from that adventure, or from that anniversary. So what you're telling us isn't true.
No.
We can terminate the contract.
It's a 5-year term on that contract.
No, it's not. We can terminate the contract. I just read it. It's your contract.
One of the things I want to do is I want to make sure that we just keep this moving along. So, Ms. Martin, would you, when you get an opportunity to review the contract and everything else, is there any others? Are there any other statements? Ms. Calhoun?
Yes.
Let me just stop there. Once we go around and give everybody one more opportunity to say something, then we'll just move on from this issue. So we will not be here all day. But Ms. Calhoun, go ahead, please.
Is Airwaves an authorized premier service provider for Motorola? Because our system is Motorola. Are you?
That's a question I think that I would leave up to Mr. Stiles to answer. But I think the bigger question is what does that really mean? Being a Motorola premier service provider, what does that truly mean?
It means you get better pricing on the parts and things that you buy.
Okay.
For who?
You're paying premium price.
For what?
Let's
not accurate.
Hold on one second.
So what I was saying, if somebody
just hold 1 second.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Bring your comments toward me,
yes,
or address your comments to me to where we can keep this on a professional level and try to move this issue forward. So go ahead, please.
Yes, time and time again, I've addressed these same issues. There's nothing new coming up in this board meeting that hadn't come up with every board meeting every month. We deal with this issue. Nothing new has been stated today. The answers remain the same, right? There's nothing new being brought up today, nothing different, right? These are issues that have been brought up for the past year and a half, 2 years, and the answers still remain the same, right? We are a certified, qualified vendor to maintain this radio system.
Okay. What we'll do is we'll go to Ms. Calhoun, then to Mr. Stokes, then we'll finish up with Mr. Fisher or Mr. Amsterdam, anything he wants to say, and then we'll go ahead and vote on this particular issue.
I think if we did put this contract back out to bid, that would answer the question.
Yes.
Is Airwaves providing us with the best prices? Or can another company provide us with even better prices? The name of the game should be considered economically for Hines County. We should be able to realize some cost savings.
I agree.
If we can put this, I think it would answer the question whether or not your company is the best based upon qualifications, or whether another company is the best based upon qualifications and pricing.
If I may address that, when this contract was instituted back in 2008, we put together a cost comparison chart based on what the county was currently paying with the existing vendor versus what they would pay with Airwave. And as that chart indicated, there were substantial savings realized over life of this agreement with that. And that information was provided to the board.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, that contract was voted in 5-0 because of that cost savings that was built into it.
At the time, I recall vividly, your cost escalated to be more over the 6-year period than Motorola's price.
No, absolutely
Yes,
not.
it did.
Absolutely not.
Because I asked you a question. I said, now why, over a period of 6 years, your price is much higher than Motorola's?
Nope.
And you said to me that it's because Jackson came online and you all are now repairing Jackson radios.
Motorola's numbers included the Jackson expansion as well. So our numbers have always been less than Motorola's supervised.
And that's why I went to
always been less than Motorola's.
And that's why I went to the city of Jackson and inquired, is Airwaves repairing your radios? The city of Jackson said, no. We sent our radios to Motorola.
Who did you speak to specifically at the city of Jackson?
His name started with P. I've forgotten the name.
Because somebody needs to tell the other folks in the city of Jackson, like the police chief, Rebecca Coleman, who calls me at 3 o'clock in the morning and she's got an issue. Somebody needs to talk to the folks on the telecommunications that drop off those radios to us almost on a daily basis. Somebody needs to tell the folks in the dispatch center, right, when we spend hours every day if they're maintaining their radio system. If we're not maintaining radios for the city of Jackson, please let them know.
Supervisor Grant, do you know who I'm talking about? The gentleman that's over the communication system for the city of Jackson.
If we're not maintaining radios for the city of Jackson, please let them know.
Repair the radios.
Please let them know.
Repair of the radios.
Yes, we repair the radios. Yes, we
Do
do.
you send them to Motorola?
Some of them that we repair in the shop, and some of them we send to the depot. But that's everybody.
That's right. You send them to Motorola. So you're the middleman. You're the third man.
Well,
Can Hines County actually send, since Motorola is the manufacturer, can we actually send those radios directly to Motorola?
that's not practical because Motorola charges a flat rate repair for those radios.
They're not charging for the repair of the city's radios.
Okay, all right. We'll now go to Mr. Stokes.
Thank you, Mr. President. And Mr. President, I apologize for not having the law, and I asked legal because I'm going to trust legal's interpretation, and legal said that the contract can be terminated. And I had on my desk this morning, and I think all supervisors from Brown concerning the saving of money. I think that's what Supervisor Calhoun is saying in terms of saving the money. I guess my question then turns to legal. You saying that if we can terminate, is it a certain period of time, or could you have to do it now, or could you look later? What is the law? I got this default termination in this pass out they have, and they said that you got to give them time to cure the problem. So, please give me a copy of the overall contracts that I agree.
If I can address that part, Supervisor Stokes, there is a default termination clause in there. In other words, if there was a non-performance on either party's part, then there would be an opportunity to address those non-performance issues and non-compliance issues. And everybody would be given time to put a cure plan
That's what
into
I
effect.
have here, but that's not what you're speaking to.
Actually, Supervisor Stokes, I'm referring to the emergency communications portion of the contract, and there are, I guess, two provisions for termination. One, it does include the cure default part. However, under Section 14, under the general terms, as has been requested by the board many times over, in every contract that we enter, we seek to allow the county to terminate the contract without cause. And in this particular contract, as requested by the board, provision was added that upon 30 days notice prior to the anniversary date, which is coming up. The county, as does Airwave, had an opportunity to terminate the contract upon 30 days notice.
So the only opportunity is prior to the anniversary date?
Correct. That's what's provided in the contract.
No other time, no, not during the year could you reevaluate or reexamine?
If it's not done within this time frame, then it's automatically renewed. So this would be the time frame within which the board could consider terminating.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Fisher, then I'll make a comment and we'll vote.
Well, I think at this point we proved that whichever one, I can't, y'all, one of you works for Airwaves, the other works for
I know,
North Star.
we all look like you. Yeah, we all knock it off.
Come on, let's just keep it in order here for people. One second, Mr. Fisher, but please, I'd like to ask the audience, while you're in the audience, let's keep this on a professional level. Let's not make comments or whatever we need to do. We'll allow the supervisor an opportunity to talk, and we want to be respectful to the individual as well as the supervisor. So just ask everyone to not make comments and those type of remarks. Mr. Fisher, go
I never have
ahead.
been able to figure out which one of you has North Star and which one of you has Airwaves. I stay confused on that all the time. So, but we've established that you have told us something that's incorrect up here about the termination of the contract. I'd also like to point out to the board what has been something I was kind of proud of during the budget process. When we went out for bid on a medical contract, you'll recall that number came in at $3,200,000. And the county was doing the job for $3,400,000. The other bids came in up to about $3,900,000. And it was a good thing to know that we had come close to doing it as we should have done it. And even though we could find someone who could do it for less money and save the county that $200,000. So I would, as I've done in my motion, I see no harm in us going out for bid. If nothing else, we will establish the fact that we have got the absolute best price possible for this contract. Thank you.
Okay. All right, and my only comment relates to we've stated what the problem is, but we've not stated a whole lot about the solution. In my estimation, it's just my only opinion. One of the companies that we've been hearing using the name of Motorola, and that's not the standard bearer anymore as far as I'm concerned. I think that every board member realizes that we've just completed litigation with this particular company. Where they were doing some things that they were not supposed to be doing. And I guess that's all I can say about that. And I think we need to consider that whenever we start thinking about what we would be changing to or what we would be changing from. So that's the only statement that I want to make regarding that particular area. Now, Greta, would you please restate the motion and so we'll know exactly what we're voting on? Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Hargrove.
Other board members.
Mr. President, let me just say that Airwaves is not the only company in Harris County, and it's not the only minority company in Harris County that can maintain our Motorola radio system. I've had at least two companies to approach me, minority companies to approach me in reference to this contract.
Okay, that's noted. Greta, would you please read the
Supervisor Fisher's motion was to terminate the Airwaves contract effective as per the contract.
Okay. All those in favor of?
Aye.
Opposed to? Nay?
Nay. Not vote, Mr. President.
Okay. So motion fails. All right. We will continue on with
Mr. President.
Mr. Stokes.
Mr. President, I hope that if we're going to have this conversation in the future, that we'll look at the default termination language and that the other part would give the non-performing party a written and detailed notice of default. But we need to put something right to them as to the default, and then we'll give them, I think the law is 30 days thereafter to provide a written plan.
Okay.
I
Thank
think
you
that
very
work can be done in May. That can be done in June. That can be done in October. What we're talking about is a termination of the contract during the year. This is the only time that we can do that. So what you're talking about, we can do any time in 30 days notice. terminating the contract itself, this is the time to do that. We can't do that again until next September.
Well, I guess my question would be, have we done this? Have we done what the contract?
We're not doing this out of default, we're doing this out of the terms of the contract, which allow this contract to be ended in September.
So we're gonna take a contract from them and there's no default?
Okay?
No, it's at the board's option to do so.
They have to do something wrong. You don't just sit up
It
there and
doesn't
say,
say
we're
that
gonna
in
take a
section
contract.
14.6.
So we're gonna
Okay.
take it from them
14.6.
for no reason?
Section 14.6 allows that.
All right.
Okay.
I would hope that we'll follow and show the default, show where they are failing to do certain things. And that way, I think the public, everybody can share that they're either not doing something right or they should do something. Thank you.
Okay, we beat this long enough. Let's go to Mr. Kenny Stokes, District Manager.
Mr. President, I talked